Greetings and welcome. How are we all feeling at the moment? Today's topic is about mental distress. And this is a very common thing for us to feel when life becomes so much and there's so much demanded of us and we just can't seem to get a break and things pile up and they pile up and you kind of start feeling like things are getting worse and worse and worse until you're absolutely distressed. It becomes a disaster, and mental distress can cause a lot of psychological issues and can drastically decrease the quality of your life because you're constantly stressed out all the time. You can't find time to be happy and positive and see the good things when you are constantly distressed. And mental distress comes from fighting with yourself. When you don't have a good relationship with yourself and you are constantly fighting yourself and doubting yourself, and every time you make a decision you second guess yourself and you're not confident in your abilities and you're not confident in your relationship with yourself, and that could cause a lot of distress and instability because your inner relationship is there for you to facilitate growth and promote self-development. And when you're fighting with yourself, you cannot promote psychological freedom. You can't bring yourself into the moment, and you're constantly at war with yourself. And us having this wars with ourselves can increase mental distress by so much because you're not happy in the relationship with yourself. And mental distress is a result of becoming overwhelmed. When there's just so much going on and you don't know where to start, and it's just everything is just piling up and you feel lost, you feel stuck, you feel overwhelmed. And usually when we are very mentally distressed, we struggle with overstimulation. And that overstimulation can often cause us to become even more overwhelmed. And mental distress is a common side effect of being consistently overwhelmed by many things. Remember, overwhelm is usually a result of our own overthinking. And mental distress is also a result of difficulties in the inner relationship. You don't trust yourself, you don't look after yourself, you're very critical towards yourself, you're very hard on yourself, very mean to yourself. Every time you get something wrong, then you just completely hate yourself for it. And struggling in the inner relationship, like I mentioned, is a huge point for mental distress to take place. It's one thing to fight with yourself and to not get along with yourself, but it's another thing to struggle in the relationship where you can't relate to yourself. It's to the point that you cannot connect to yourself, you cannot heal yourself anymore. And funny enough, we think procrastination is relaxation, but it's not. It's actually stress inducing. And procrastination is another cause of mental distress because procrastination could be a result or a reason for being overwhelmed. And it can cause a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of instability because there's so many things that are happening and you don't know where to start, so you just end up doing nothing. And because you're doing nothing, everything is piling up even higher, even more day by day. And because of that, you become demotivated and then you don't want to take on the task anymore. And you procrastinate instead. But that creates so much stress on your psyche because you're not actually getting to anything. You're not actually getting anything done. And that makes you feel overwhelmed, which causes even further mental distress. And mental distress also happens when we get stuck in our comfort zones and we become complacent. We cannot move forward and we are stuck in this constant loop of the same outcomes, the same decisions, the same views, the same ideas, the same way of internalizing our worlds, and that going on over and over and over and over because you can't break away from what makes you feel safe. And unfortunately, growing is not feeling safe. It's feeling unsafe and uncomfortable. And that's why mental distress comes from complacency, because we are meant to move forward. We're not meant to stay stuck in one place for the rest of our lives. And the idea of that causes distress in itself. And it's important, what you can do is to set up a routine so that you get everything done. You practice time management, so each task has an allocated amount of time that needs to be completed. And if you stay consistent in that and you focus more on managing the time that you do have to complete these tasks, your mental distress will lessen. Also, getting into a routine is great. Having breakfast and waking up in time so that you are able to get to all your responsibilities, taking regular time constrained breaks so that you don't take a break that's supposed to be 20 minutes and it ends up being an hour, because then again you are procrastinating. And it's important to express emotions and thoughts in a healthy way, because when things start bottling up and things start getting very overwhelming and we have all of these thoughts in our minds that are completely chaotic and unmanageable, and we become very emotionally dysregulated, very intense emotional reactions, high intensity emotions, and very, very negative emotions or very explosive emotions. So it's important to find a healthy outlet, whether it may be art, whether it may be exercise, whether it may be going for a walk, whether it may be talking to someone, because the more you allow these things to cycle in your mind without any outlet, it can cause mental distress. And that's what makes our thoughts and our emotions so scary, because the quality of them will decide your mental state as well. So if you have very chaotic thoughts, very irregular emotions, then you are going to struggle from mental distress, because your brain cannot find stability. So it becomes overwhelmed to the point where it's a disaster, a catastrophe. And it's important to use distraction techniques. And these need to be used temporarily, but can also be used every day in the form of hobbies. Other distraction techniques include going for a walk, maybe writing something down, doing something artistic. And if you do that when you're feeling a bit mentally distressed, it helps just get that out, and it helps just remove your mind from what you're thinking about, so that when you go back to it, you are in a better emotional and mental state. And then again, rest is so important, but not procrastination rest, not actual rest. When you've gotten everything done and your day is done and you're feeling a bit better, there are two types of rest that you need to engage in, and depending on your body and your mind, you will decide which is the best. So there's active rest, whereby you go for walks, you do something creative, you maybe go out, you maybe go shopping. And then there's passive rest, and passive rest is complete rest. Passive rest mustn't be used as much as active rest, but passive rest is very beneficial for people who are constantly on the run and constantly on the move and need to take a break. So remember, your mental distress comes a lot from how you process things, how you deal with things, and how you let it out, because that's also important. So remember, you are unique and valuable. Take care of that stunning person. Stay strong wherever you're from,